morning, good morning. Feel a bit shit this morning, gotta be honest. Oh, feel a little bit congested and winter cold, head flu. Not corona, I don't feel like I got corona, so that's something, eh? So I hope everyone's had a good weekend. I've been busy. This lockdown really does me a favour, if I'm completely honest, because my top goals at the minute are getting out of debt and making some music. So the strategies I'm using for my next stage in my productions, I took some advice from a company that just said just make like a load of tunes, make like 12 tracks, get them all done and dusted, and then focus on sending them out to record labels and doing it that way. So that's what I'm doing, and at the minute I've got 9 tracks sketched out. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of my process really of how I actually make a track. And once you get it, I hate to say like, oh, it's easy, because obviously I'm no one in production. I've been doing it for a long time and I think my work's pretty good, but I've released a couple of tracks, but I've never had any like mainstream success or anything like that with my tracks. But I do believe that the next stage in my music career is the production. And it's what I gave up DJing and promotion to focus on really. Obviously I went through my shit, but I've always had a little setup where I've been making music. I did for a couple of years just get rid of it all, just out of like I don't know, just because I couldn't face anything to do with music. Which is a shame really, but I just needed to focus on fixing myself. So what I do at the minute, my setup that I've got, it's a really basic, easy setup. I used to have an elaborate studio and it was full of gear and all that, but now I've got machine. I do everything on a laptop basically. So I've got Maschine Mark III native instruments and Maschine Jam. And that is it. That's all I use, and obviously the soft synths on my computer. And I tell you what, it's the best setup I've ever had. Just for I can make tracks studio wise, and I can also make tracks on the fly, live jamming. Just like, you know, that's how I like to perform. I like to jam. I like to be able to just make tracks there and then, rather than sitting and using I use samples obviously, but like what I mean is like on the studio, like picking up a sample, putting it on the screen, copying it, pasting it and all that. I do that, but when I'm sketching a track out, as I said, I've got Maschine Mark III and Maschine Jam, and I'll highly recommend them. You get your head into how it works and that, it's brilliant. You can sketch out a track in a couple of hours, you really can. And I'm not saying you get like a finished track, but you definitely get like the meat and the bones of it, yeah, you know what I mean? So how I normally do it is I go straight to the breakdown section, come up with some chord progressions and a melody to back that up, as if the track's dropped out and you're in the breakdown and this is the main hook of the track. I always start there. I used to start with the kick and that, but I just find you get yourself into a monotonous loop when you do it that way and you just get stuck. So I always think start chord progressions, start melody first, because it's more interesting, to be honest. So yeah, I've got it all mapped out on my jam, so you know I can go straight to these areas. I can't explain it by using words, but yeah, so I just make the I make the breakdown and the melody first, and then once I've got that, I go straight into the chorus and I'll just start building it up from there. Kicks, hats, shakers, percussion, you know, all that sort of stuff. And I'll just go right for, that's the moment where I start jamming then, really. Like I go for just building the track up to its absolute peak. So I've gone breakdown, chorus, crescendo, building up to its peak, and when I get it there, I've got all the bits and bobs I need to make the track. So then I'll just go back to the intro, I'll strip it all down, and I'll just start with a pad and a filtered kick where it's just a you know what I mean? Something like that. And then I'll just build it from there. And then, as I said, in a couple of hours, you've got a track from start to finish, fleshed out. You ain't got your transitions in there. You need to do a lot of more work. And obviously, well, when I used to have my old laptop, my old MacBook, I'd get so far with it and I'd max out the CPU. It'd be like, okay, I've used everything I can, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because it's a good thing because it limits the amount of things that you can use, and I think you try and squeeze as much as you can out of the individual parts rather than another track, like layering it all up so you've got about like 50 tracks in the end. And I just think that's ridiculous, I really do. I see some of these really elaborate like projects and I just think it's too much, you know what I mean? But there is technique that, you know, people do the techniques with it, but I just think it's a bit overkill. I don't think you actually need to do that, especially with the Native Instruments Machine ecosystem. It's brilliant for that. You just, you know, I probably do have lots of tracks, but because I've only got it over 8 groups, it doesn't look as much. But yeah, so basically I boil everything down to 8 groups. I've usually got a kick on one group, hats on another group, claps and percussion on another group. Then I'll have like effects, transition-y type things, crashes, reverse crashes, other bits of percussion on another track. Then I'll have bass on a track, I'll have melodies on a track, I'll have pads on a track, and then I'll leave one for vocals and other, just like a spare track, a group. And the way, and each group has got 16 channels in Machine. So pad 1 will be like you got 16 pads basically. So yeah, I start building up. So I'll have like, I don't know, I'll have a different pad, it'll be a different sound, and then I've got 16 sounds on one group. And then why I'll do that is because when I come to mix it later in Studio One, when I sit down and I get my sketched out track and I put it in there, all I've got is 8 groups. And I've done the balancing of each group on Machine to a certain extent. I can always go back in and edit stuff out later. But yeah, I've got the groups. So when I come to mix the groups, it's like I know I've got the kick on one. I always keep the kick on one group for some reason, just because it's so, you just want to process it in such a way when you use your compression and your transient attacks and stuff. You just want to use, you don't want other things in there to muddy the water, so I just have the kick. But the hats, I just think with the hats, like, you know, you can kind of process the hats as a general when you come to mixing, because they're all such in the high range. So I do that, and then obviously I'll keep everything relevant to each other. So when I do these broad stroke adjustments when I'm mixing it later, like bass, I'm not going to do too much damage when I start taking out high ends and stuff to other things that might be on the group, because it's all bass sounds, you know what I mean? That's my philosophy. So when I come to Studio One, I've got 8 tracks, just 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, instead of that, you know, 10s and 20s of them. And it makes it look so much, it's just so much more simple. But when I do that, then I get it all down and I record it, and then it just frees up my computer for more space. So then I can start putting in other bits and bobs that I think, like I always use the analogy of like sketching when I'm doing my art, because I used to do art, and the difference between a good picture and a bad picture is just the detail. I'm doing a picture at the minute, and I'm doing Ridley Scott's Alien, And I'm doing it at the minute, and my missus looks at it and goes, how do you make it look like shiny and wet? And I'm like, well, that's, you know, I've done the shading, I've sketched it out, then I've done the shading, and you know, most people leave it there. But then you take it to the next step, and you start putting like the little, like using brilliant white and putting bits and bots of white and dark, very dark black, just touches, and it just makes the picture pop. And it's the same principle with music. It's like, I used to just smash tunes out and get them out there, and then when I listen back to them now, I'm like, I never really put the effort in, and it's such a good tune, and I wasted the opportunity. But I think that's all in the development stage anyway. So, like, I've built myself up to this. So, as I said, I've got 9 tracks sketched out, where I'm like, man, they've all got the potential to be good tracks. Now I'm getting 12 under my belt. That's my aim. But like, don't think, oh God, he's smashed out 12 tunes in a month. It must be shit. You know what I mean? My philosophy is, I'm going to get the 12 tunes sketched out, and then I'm going to go back to them, and I'm going to do, so I've sketched them, I'm going to go back now, I'm going to get them into Studio One, lay them all out, and start shading. I'm going to start cutting bits out, putting little transitions in, adding little bits, you know, doing all, like polishing it up basically. And then I'll do that for all 12, and then I'll go back, and then I'll do the finer detail and start making them really like pop, you know what I mean? Like, I'll really give it that extra little last bit of polish. So hopefully by summer I'll have 12 fully baked tracks, and then once I've got them tracks, then I can start, like, I'm going to look at the latter half of the year, because hopefully we'll be out of lockdown. I can look at start getting me some gigs, so I can start promoting myself. I'll have these 12 tracks under my belt, and I'm going to start getting them out to record labels and just start building relationships and trying to get my stuff out there. And I want to send this stuff out to like A grade record labels to see what happens with them basically. But I'm tempted. Like, I don't know whether I'm going to carry on with this record label thing. Like, my record label was just a backup for me just to release my tracks on. But I don't know if I've got the energy and the time to really put it in to make it work. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, I could. I've got it all. I've got the foundations there ready to go, and I have kind of been doing it. So we'll see what happens with that. But I know one thing I definitely want to do. I definitely want to put on an event. As I said, like, you know, it's a good way of getting out there and networking, and you know, it's fun at the end of the day. I do like putting on events and playing at them and seeing what happens. It's scary. It is very scary when you're putting on an event, and when you know, I mean, unless you've sold tickets, which I've never been a massive fan of selling tickets. I've always just promoted it, and then if you book them, they will come kind of attitude, you know what I mean? It's always worked for me. So, but I think with this corona thing and that, I think it's going to be, and I think working in Birmingham as well, I think it's sensible to do the ticket thing. Now, so it's another way for me to get networking. So I'm going to be looking for ticket sellers, promoters, youngsters, you know, that want to get involved, DJs, because ultimately I'm a bit older now, and I've got the money to invest, but I ain't got the energy like I used to have. You know what I mean? I still work hard, but I can't be going out at like fucking 5 o'clock and flying in 5 o'clock in the morning and flying. I don't even think that's a thing anymore. I think it's more all about targeted advertising on social media platforms. But anyway, I'm rambling on. So, I mean, I have felt a bit crap today, but I thought consistency is the key, isn't it? So I did want to carry on doing these videos, and this is the time this is the only chance I get to do it, really. First thing in the morning on the way to work. So I've got 30 seconds left, but I don't think I'm going to hold you on for too much longer. So thanks for listening. If anyone has got any questions about promotion, production, DJing, anything like that, then ask away, man. You know, and I'll see if I can see what I can do. So until the next time, Have a great day and I'll see you soon. Peace.